Good evening, everybody. Welcome to this advisory committee of the Blues Working Group. Have we got any apologies? Well, we've got Anthony's apologies. Yes, Anthony and Alice. Are we?
Sorry about that.
Right. No. What about declaration of interest? Is there any declaration of interest that's items on the agenda? No. We've got the minutes of the last meeting, if everybody's read them. I think there's only Howard can propose those as a correct record. Microphone.
Yes, I'll move.
Can we explain to those that might not know why we do that? Because you can't second them before or propose them if you've not attended the last meeting.
If you know, we weren't at the last meeting, yes. So Nina was at the last meeting.
No.
No.
You were, so you.
I was here, so I'll second it. All those in favour that they're a correct record? Thank you.
Only members of the council.
Venue update. Can I ask either Nina or Nathan?
So obviously, because the Muni is going redevelopment, the Muni is not available as a venue this year. So we've got Pendle Hippodrome as one of the main stages, and we've also got the Exchange project at St John's, which will also be a main stage for this year's festival. And I believe there's 14 official fringe venues. Is that correct? Which obviously will be open over the weekend, which will be free to enter. But apart from that, that's it for venue update.
Thank you. Yes, Nina.
I would like to add that respecting the fact that the Exchange project stage is part of St John's Methodist Church, it will be a dry stage. There will be no alcohol to be consumed on the premises. Obviously, there are numerous bars in the surrounding area. If people want to come out, have a drink and then go back in, that's fine, but no alcohol on site at the Exchange project stage.
Yes, Patricia.
I can confirm that, being a member of the Methodist Church and that church being part of my circuit. So if Nina had actually mentioned that, I would have brought that forward. Thank you.
Thank you.
Can I just
make
a comment about that? At one blues festival, they were drinking alcohol within the grounds outside. So I don't know how they got round that one. Yeah.
We're going to be encouraging everyone to respect other people's beliefs and to avoid doing so. As I say, the town council has their own bar opposite, and there are numerous bars outside the vicinity.
Yeah, but
we can enforce it within the perimeter of the building. Enforcing it outside the perimeter is a little bit more difficult.
Yeah. When you say we, who's we?
There is a security and stewards in the venue during the shows.
Okay.
Can I ask whether the perimeter includes the grassed area outside?
I'm presuming so, but it's a presumption. Basically, it's respecting other people's beliefs. It's you know, these people are allowing us to host the event in their venue. I can anticipate that in the melee of a blues festival, there may be some grey area and some overlapping of boundaries. The absolute boundary is
the building,
the venue, the building.
Yeah.
You know, if you're sat on the wall, who knows? But we're just asking people to respect other people's beliefs and
I've mentioned
show consideration to it.
I've mentioned it to a few blokes who come in a crowd, and at first it was like oh, and then I said, well, there'll be a bar outside at the town hall. It's like a few steps. You'll have to go out and have a drink and then go back in, and you know, they think about it and they say, oh yeah, okay, it was Yeah, so I think I'm sure it'll be all right. If they want to watch a certain musician, they'll have to go in and watch it, won't they?
The Exchange project is a music venue. If you want a bar, there's numerous fringe venues that serve alcohol. The Hippodrome serves alcohol. It's just the Exchange project. We want to respect St. John's beliefs.
Would you be able to have soft drinks?
We are encouraging St. John's to put a soft drink. They have facilities and kitchens there. We're encouraging St. John's to do it might be a teetotal bar. It might be a temperance style bar.
Yeah,
I don't know how far they've proceeded with that.
right, okay. I've got Patricia and then Andrew.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, there will be tea and coffee and juices, and there may even be edible refreshments as well.
Thank you, Andy.
Yeah, I just want to just make an observation there. Is obviously there's no argument about it being a teetotal area, or like you say, temperance. But if we can get signs or anything like that that's around it saying no alcohol past this point, and make them very prominent, even if it's some sort of physical barrier with entrances in and out, and say no alcohol. And if anybody is, just say, please don't come in. Do not enter the grounds with that alcohol. That way we can't, it's not going to be misconstrued or said, well, you let me in last year, or I've just walked in, I've already got this. There's no argument. There's just get that physical barrier there.
Yeah. Yes, Ian?
Thank you, Chair. Quite a few years ago when we were doing the Up For It stage, because we were using the grounds, and again, this was a question that was raised then, and the answer by the church was, it's outside the church.
Yeah.
If they want to drink outside the building, and I think the reason behind that is that the building is classed as a sanctified or sacred space, not the grounds outside. So it doesn't actually impinge on their ethos or their religious observances.
There's a cemetery in those grounds.
But it was I think it was decommissioned as a cemetery, which is why it's quite safe. As I say, we never had a problem with drinking outside on the grassed area. So
Right.
there's no problem outside the building.
Okay. Thank you. Nathan?
We will clarify with obviously St. John's their boundaries for the festival, but we are also advertising on social media that it is obviously a venue that you can't take alcohol in. We have done that since we announced the venue as well, and I'm pretty sure we can look at getting some signage to have within obviously the boundary for that the church have agreed to obviously make it so people can't say, oh, I didn't know. So we can get that source, but I will check with St. John's on what their boundary is.
Michael? Are you? Oh, right. I mean, there are non-alcohol beers, aren't there? I don't know whether that would be, if you saw someone and they'll say, well, it's not alcohol. Anyway, whoever the security is, they'll be fully briefed so they can see what people are bringing in and out. Okay. Can we go on to marketing update, please?
So the marketing for the festival is well underway. We're currently running a competition on the Facebook page where you comment who you'd like to take with you to the festival, and one lucky winner will win 2 tickets for the Friday night. We are going to be running a couple of competitions between now and obviously August Bank Holiday, giving away day tickets for people liking, sharing, commenting on posts, that sort of thing. We have had adverts in magazines over the last couple of weeks, some that are specifically blues based magazines, some that are festival based magazines, and we've had numerous adverts in Colne Life, Northern Life, Craven and Valley Life, all those sort of magazines. So the marketing is well underway. Banners, we should have some banners out there by the end of this month. We're just waiting for them to be printed by obviously the marketing company. But as it stands at the minute, the marketing is going quite well. They're posting very regularly across all platforms, social media, and we've noticed that any time they post on social media, we normally get a couple of ticket sales come through. So obviously it's working what they're doing. But that's probably it for the marketing update.
Has anybody any questions for Nathan? Andrew?
Yeah, you just mentioned the running a competition for the Friday night for 2 tickets. Just for clarification, is that just for somebody that's in the local area, or are you looking at people who are looking at coming to the Blues Festival anyway?
So on the Facebook page, there's over 10,000 people that have liked that page. So they spread between local people, people that live nowhere near. It's people that have an interest in the festival. But obviously, if someone shares that, then their friends on social media will then see it. So it's open to anybody.
Yeah.
It's not just local people.
Just one question on that one then is, if somebody was to buy a weekend ticket and they say, right, well, if we've won the Friday, will they get the money refund back for the Friday night tickets, or would they have to turn around and say,
No.
no, that's what I'm asking. If somebody's buying a ticket for the weekend to be told you've won 2 tickets,
You could
it's
sell them, aren't they?
is that, or would they be, or if they haven't bought the tickets, say, right, okay, I'll buy Saturday, Sunday, Monday, or
And if someone's bought a ticket and they enter and they win 3 tickets, they wouldn't be offered a refund. Obviously, if they then wanted to sell their tickets and use a free ticket, fine, that's up to them. But I don't think you'll get many people entering who have already bought the tickets, because obviously they've already got the tickets. They already know they're coming.
Yeah.
But we wouldn't offer a refund, no.
Tricia?
Thank you, Chair. You've done all your marketing. You're quite well under your marketing. Are you planning on using visual and audio media as part of your marketing, i.e. Radio Lancashire, local capital radio, the local radios, and of course Granada Northwest and BBC Northwest News?
So the company that's got the marketing contract, Scott Dawson Advertising, they arrange interviews, but it's normally close to the time of the festival. So we'll have probably interviews on BBC Radio Lancashire, other local radio stations, hitting ITV Granada and BBC Northwest is quite difficult, unless you've got something that's going to grab the reader. You're not going to get any airtime. Yeah, exactly. So we're doing what we can in regards to that sort of stuff.
Thank you. The next one is catering update.
So at the last meeting, we'd sold 4 catering pictures throughout the town, and the committee was advised that the final picture was going back out for tender. I can confirm that picture's now been allocated to a company that's going to come in over that weekend. And we're slowly getting all the catering documents so we can send them off to Pendleborough Council's environmental health and licensing team as part of the requirements. But all the catering pictures have been allocated now.
Thank you. I notice there's no securities none here. Is that okay? We've got it all sorted with the police and everything?
Yeah, so back in January, we sat down with Lancashire Police and Pendleborough Council's licensing team and our security provider. And obviously the police made us aware that there won't be as much police presence over that weekend. So we have brought in additional security to assist. So obviously we've got patrolling security over the weekend. We've got security at the Town Hall, St John's Church and Pendle Hippodrome, as well as stewards at each end of the road closure, which once we presented those figures to the police and licensing, they was very happy that we'd fulfilled that, which is why we've took it off the agenda, because it's not changed and it won't be changing.
Okay. Item 9 is ticket. Oh, sorry. Michael, you want to?
I noticed last year during the day that the police presence was very, very low, but it increased greatly at the evening time when they were allowed to be a bit trouble. Will that be something similar? Will there be an increased presence in the evening? Or is it an overall cutback?
I think it'll be an overall cutback. I think normally they will put more on in the evening because there's more risk of something happening, but there won't be as many officers on duty covering the festival across the full day and evening,
In the evening,
unfortunately.
there were a very visible presence.
Yeah, there were quite a few officers about, whereas this year there won't be as many, unfortunately.
Dorothy, you've
Oh,
got a
right.
question?
I didn't know that. Well, I was just going to say that last year, there was a van full of them sat outside the Muni. There was a couple wandering about. Why is there not going to be any this year?
Money.
The police have just advised that they don't have the resources available to obviously give us the same amount of
Right.
police presence as
I mean, the
last
thing
year.
is, if there was an incident, they will be here very quick.
Yeah,
They will be here, yeah. Wherever they're coming from, Nelson or Colne.
I
Right,
think last year there were nearly all of them between here and
Yeah, yeah.
Rosendale. They were all here, weren't they? They did have their weekends and the time off scuppered, and they all had to come.
I mean, a few years ago, when I was on Lancashire County Council, it was then that they decided to announce that they weren't going to cover any events in the whole of Lancashire. And in that meeting, which was a full council meeting, everybody had something to say about it. You know, criticising that decision. Now, recently, and so that happened, they weren't coming out to any events, but recently I've seen that they are like creeping back, you know. And I wondered if they'd changed their minds on that. Right, okay, thank you.
Andrew?
I know you mentioned that the police are obviously doing the rollback and there's going to be more private security, if you like. One I'm just going to ask is, are they going to be doing a roving patrols, or are you going to have where you got the fringes, if you've got like Newmarket Street where you got 3 microbreweries and the Hippodrome, are you going to have various areas where they can get in touch with the call centre and say, listen, we've got something that look like it's brewing, to be able to get more people there? Or is it going to be a case of, oh, it's outside, not? I'm just wondering what's going to be in place.
so with the security firm, all the security are linked with radios, so they're linked with myself and the first aid team. We have 3 security on at the Hippodrome, 3 at the Town Hall, 3 at the Exchange Project, but then over the weekend we'll have 6 patrolling in pairs throughout the whole event area on the Saturday, Sunday and on the Friday as well. So say, for example, there is an incident brewing outside Boyce's Barrel, for example, obviously they will radio through and our security team will work together to obviously de-escalate that issue. Obviously using the resource they've got available, but they won't just think, oh, it's crossroad, it doesn't matter, it don't affect us, because obviously we've got patrolling teams and they don't want any issues. Yeah, so like I said, they are all connected through radios, all the security team, first aid team. I'll have a radio, Gina will have a radio, so everyone will be connected. So everyone knows if something's happening.
Did you put your hand up, Dorothy? Do you want to speak, Dorothy? Okay. Yeah. We're on 10 now, item 10. Artist update.
So there's not much of an update really. Both main stages are programmed and have been for some time. I believe the official fringe venues have now been programmed. The town hall's been programmed. We've got our line up. But that's as far as it goes for artist update from my side. I don't know if Nina's got anything to add.
No, yeah, I mean, Simon did say he was hoping to get it done by the end of May, didn't he? That he'd get it all sorted, and he has done. Yeah. All right, item 9, tickets. How are we going on with them?
So we've sold 275 tickets so far. We've sold 67 camping pictures so far. But like I say, obviously, tickets are selling pretty much every day. I mean, I think we've sold 7 today,
Yeah.
but they're not included in that figure. So tickets are selling.
Good.
And obviously we normally get more ticket sales close to the festival.
Closer to the festival. Yeah.
But it's going well so far.
Good. Excellent. Anybody? Yes, Nina.
For the benefit of the new councillors, and having gone through this last year, you really do have to hold your nerve as far as the ticket sales are concerned. A lot of the ticket sales come through in the last few days, and it's nerve-wracking, but you know, it is what it is. That's the way these things pan out.
Yeah. The people sort of look at the weather and whether they're going to go, and if the friends are going to go, and the friends haven't decided yet, and so it all ends up a bit last minute. But
it's not ticket related, but I've just realised there's an item missing for some reason. It's more of a general update for the rest of the festival. So we have now got our merchandise. We've received that way in advance. So we've got the t-shirts that had a facelift in sort of a way. We've got all the pin badges ready, and we've also had the first draft of the programme. And we've advised the Scott Dawson Advertising that we need the programme in our hands for the beginning of August, and we can distribute them to obviously all the pubs, bars, main stages, and anywhere in between, because we got them a little bit late last year. All the street entertainment has now been booked as well, so we've got a wide variety of street entertainment throughout the day. Some stuff during the day for families, some stuff in the evening for obviously the adults enjoying a drink, that sort of stuff. But those are really the only update in regards to the festival as a whole.
do we have? I know the Colne Blue Society was going to sort out the buskers. Is that ongoing? Okay. I've got Patricia and then Andrew.
Thank you, Chair. I noticed, and obviously I'm new to this, but over the last couple of years, I have noticed that there's been people carrying beer cans and things from different venues. Are we going to be enforcing a no alcohol movement zone?
No.
Because
No.
right, thank you.
I think when the municipal hall was the main venue, I think they had a certain number of streets where people were allowed to drink. And I think that's still...
Technically, I think that no outside drinking is still in force from Linden Road to, I'm guessing, Skipton Road. I don't really know where it finished, because there was always grumbles by one or two people up in the shops, like Carlo's and people that they couldn't sell the drink for folk outside, but the Muni could have a bar outside. But to try and police it during the Blues is it's a bit King Canute trying to hold the
And what happens
time
is people go to the off licence, don't they? Kids, and get an adult to get them stuff, and you know, it's just hard work. You want to speak?
Yeah, it's a difficult one. I remember probably about 30 years ago when I had a bottle of wine confiscated. And it was a big issue, not for me obviously, but it was a big issue with a lot of people. And of course there was a big police presence then as well. And so that's just what they did up and down the street. But it's a difficult one because of the nature of the event. You know, everybody's coming out to have a good time, and there'll always be too much drinking, won't there?
And I know other hostelries resented the Muni because they had the bar, and people who were just sat drinking, they were allowed to but they weren't. But other people who'd sell them, they weren't allowed to walk with it or something. It was really complicated.
I think what we have to keep our eye on is the kids.
Yeah.
Definitely, because there'll be a big issue with that. I just know there will. I just know there will.
Well, not if it's raining, we'll be all right. if it's
Well,
raining.
you don't know. Uh, yeah, no, that would be my worry. Back in the day, we had street pastors, didn't we? Do we have anything like that now? Would that be a good idea?
Ian?
Thank you, Chair. I think there's also a lot of confusion, and I've still, it's happened in the past where people say we have an alcohol exclusion zone in place, which is a fallacy. We've got an alcohol control zone, and the police need to take this on board, because yes, you can have alcohol outside if you are not causing a nuisance or it's not to the detriment of others. Otherwise, it is allowable. But the police sadly decided that no, as far as they were concerned, no alcohol, and they should not be able to do that. I think it's, you've got to use common sense and judgment.
Yes, Nina.
Whilst I respect what Mary's just said about 30 years ago, the licensing laws changed to encourage the more continental style drinking, the 24-hour licensing, that kind of thing. We now have venues up and down Albert Road with outside seating areas. Those are the license, they have a license perimeter on there. I agree with Dorothy 100% that we need to keep an eye on young people getting hold of alcohol, but the way we do that is we encourage, obviously licensees have an obligation to challenge 25 in the Lancashire area. We need to make sure that's being adhered to, which we know it is in the licensed venues and in the shops as well. And just as you say, keep a lid on it, make sure we watch out for children getting hold of alcohol.
Yeah.
Can I just come back in there?
Well,
I noticed
Michael wanted to just speak. Look.
Right.
I'm just thinking about the concerns of younger children, younger people drinking. How would you enforce that with security people? I can see how the police can intervene with that, but where does that, the security, it's a sort of, they're in a different position, aren't they? So how could they enforce that?
Could they take them, whatever they were drinking off them?
I think on that one, the other thing you could do is that the police that are in the area is grab it to their attention, because they've got the power then to seize. But if you've got security, they don't.
Dorothy?
Yeah, I think you'll find that the licensing enforcement officer will be out, as he was last year, walking around with a copper. And also, do you think it might help if we perhaps invite him to this meeting, or get in touch with him and he can give us advice on what he can do?
So there's a meeting happening tomorrow between Pendle Borough Council's licensing officer, the Town Council, Colne Blue Society, Environmental Health, Lancashire Police, Lancashire Fire and Rescue, North West Ambulance Service, and that's one of the concerns that does pop up at that meeting. But I have had confirmation from Wadged that there will be spot checks over that weekend, just like they were last year, which obviously should help any children or anyone underage getting hold of any alcohol over that weekend. But it is something that can be raised at that meeting tomorrow.
My interest in this, and should be, is because I'm the Pendle's champion for children, and every child matters. So I have to take an interest in this.
It will be difficult though, because last year there were people in white vans on streets doling it out, weren't there? So I understand. Well, that's what somebody told me.
What I meant, Nathan, was to somebody specific to come to this meeting about the blues.
Well, they come in tomorrow.
I can invite, it's an ESAG meeting tomorrow. But if the committee want, I can invite the licensing officer for the next advisory committee which will be before the festival.
Well, you can see if you can come.
Yes. My point of view. This close to the event, but someone who potentially can disrupt everything that's organised. That's a good idea. Maybe inviting at the beginning of next year's organisation.
I think it'll be like it always is. Sometimes there's only one or two incidents, isn't there? And other times.
Sorry, but I think it's important, to take this a little bit more seriously. And I think we should do it. There are a lot of children that are not doing the right thing at the moment for whatever reason. Week by week it gets worse and worse. And with my other hats on, I'm certainly going to take an interest and you've got to contact about yourself and talk to or go to the speech tomorrow. You might be right. Something may happen. You might be probably coming. That's all the hobbies. But I think we do have to be very vigilant.
I think we always are every year. We know something might happen, and we see the children outside bargain booths, and we go over and see who's, they're trying to get people who go in to get, giving them money and that. So we do know it happens. And we have seen some children that are really worse for wear, sat on the, with a bottle of gin, and they've like sat on one of the houses down the bottom of being sick and everything. It's not a nice thing, but it's yeah. But yes.
I'll ask Wajid the question tomorrow at the ESAG meeting, and then ask him if he wants to attend. He's got that option. I think the problem is it's not always like the off license that sell it. It's sometimes the parents that get it and say, right, you can have this one, and then obviously it always comes to the door just have that one. I think that's part of the issue as well.
Yeah, we saw one, didn't we? In right at the end of the Blues, very late at night, and somebody was collapsed in the toilets, and we had to go and find out who they were. Yeah, it wasn't a child, though, was it? No.
Just out of interest, I know we say you got your licensed premises. I know your days next door you will have, but what's been pointed out is maybe there's a van or somebody has a pop-up shop. Are they licensed? And are we got a list of who is licensed? Have we got a list of who's intending to sell if they don't normally sell? I.e., if you've got a coffee shop, if they're going to apply for a temporary license or anything like that.
So before the festival, we do get a list of licensed venues and anyone that's put a temporary events notice in that want to sell alcohol over that weekend. I'm guessing that if you've got a white van pulling up, they're not licensed. Which obviously I'll raise at the ESAG meeting that there has been concerns from last year that a situation may have happened with someone selling it out of the back of a van, but we do get a list of all the venues within the event area that obviously will be trading over that weekend, whether it's on the normal premises license or whether it's on a temporary events notice.
Tricia?
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, just what you've been saying there, Nathan. I noticed many moons ago, some of the normal street vendors with, that are selling food are actually handing out small cans of beer or small bottles of beer. Can we make sure that that doesn't happen, or if they are going to do it, that they have got their license, please?
So all the street vendors licensing have strictly said that anyone selling alcohol over that weekend needs to be linked to a premises. So whether that's a premises venue or someone in a premises applying for a temporary events notice. So like your burger van outside the Muni, they won't be granted a license to sell the alcohol because they're not linked to a premises, which has already been confirmed with licensing. So it'll only be like the coffee shops, the cafes that if they want to sell, they apply for a temporary events notice, and then that will get approved. But you won't just have pop-up traders selling alcohol or food vendors selling it. They've already said that won't be happening.
So that if say one of us members of the council is actually we're going to say the burger bar that's parked outside Open Door, and we actually see him dropping a can of lager to somebody, we can close him down.
As a councillor, you wouldn't be able to, but that's when you'd then report it back to a member of security staff or an officer who then has direct contact with the licensing officer, who will then very sneakily stand out of the way, watch it happening, and that's it. Then they're gone.
Right. Where are we at now? Update from Corn Blue Society. Thank you, Nina.
I'll apologise. I hadn't clocked that we'd have new members of the committee on board, so I haven't prepared anything because it's a follow-on really from last meeting. We have finished organising the main stage lineups. Obviously, all that's been passed on to the next stage for the marketing. We have now finished the programming the fringe venues. The fringe venues have all had their, well, we've submitted all the programmes. Our next task is programming the buskers and just generally collating all the information we've got and starting work on 2024.
And
Just to go off here, Nina, for the buskers, are they all going to be registered, or is that going to be policed, or is it going to be a case of anybody can come in and do it?
So the town council actually owns a premises licence for the high street, allowing buskers to just turn up. We do try to encourage them to sign up and register for a spot, because obviously we have designated busking tents throughout the town. But because obviously we have got that premises licence in place, you will find that you will just have random buskers turning up. They'll come to the office and say, am I all right to busk? Obviously it's a festival, we're not going to say no. But we do obviously have that licence in place, so they don't need to be registered.
Nina, can I, have you decided if you're going to have one acoustic stage venue? And if you have, what would that be? Because I don't think the Little Theatre is going to be ready.
Yeah, the original plan was the Little Theatre would be an acoustic venue. Obviously that's not panned out. Because we were restricted to 2 main stages, we haven't been able to put a dedicated acoustic stage on. What we've done is picked some of the venues, the fringe venues that are more adapted to
Sitting
acoustic and concentrated on those venues. So the Town Hall bar, which many of our acoustic acts recommended as being great for their style of music, has got a prevalence of acoustic acts.
Yeah, and we've got enough seating to people to sit as well, haven't we?
For next year, obviously, we're hoping to get the Little Theatre back on board and have a dedicated acoustic stage again.
Oh, Andy, yes.
Yeah, I know about the Little Theatre where they've been waiting to try and get the work started, and even they've had to put 3 plays back because they don't know what's happening themselves. So it might even still be available at that time, but they do not know.
No, it should have been started in end of March, they were thinking, but nothing's happened yet, so we'll see. What else do I need to? Oh, yeah. Well, no, I'll wait till items for the next agenda. So any more, anything more that you, for Nina? No? Items for a future agenda. I've had some people who come every year and they knew it was the Hippodrome and they said, oh no, it's rubbish beer. It's gassy, it's horrible. Can we have some beer, not too heavy, 3.7 or 3.8, a custom beer? I don't know what that means. So there's more options at the Hippodrome on beer, because he said otherwise we'll have to go out and get some. And it,
With our declaration of interests, there are numerous venues within walking distance of the Hippodrome that would be happy to fulfil their requirements.
yeah, but also, well, but it has a bar, and some people staying there all day, and they were saying that it's not good, and also the women are saying that the wine is in these little glasses, and you can't get a spritzer, you can't get this. It's rubbish beer and rubbish wine. Oh no, I agree with them. I wouldn't drink the stuff that's in there. Well, you would.
Whilst we can't dictate to the venues how they operate their premises, the Derby Arms, or what was the Derby Arms, part of the levelling up fund that is going towards the Hippodrome is to open the Derby Arms up as a green room and then as a hospitality area. The idea being that they can offer a better bar experience at the Hippodrome. So again, for 2024, that will practically answer itself.
Yeah,
for 2023, I'm happy to feedback that people were criticising their beer offering, whether
their
anything
wine
gets
offering.
happens about it. As far as the glasses of wine go, we are all under instruction to use plastic glassware. There will be
Yes.
no glassware.
Yeah.
I hope over the weekend.
What happened with the car? But we were looking at some glasses that promoted the festival.
The polycarbonate glassware is still an ongoing project. We have a supplier. We have a beautiful design. It's whether we can get sponsorship to allow us to offset the costs somewhat, because money is an issue.
The town council do have some polycarbonates left from last year, which we will try and sell like we did last year, which have obviously the festival logo on. Obviously, in the meantime.
Yes, Andy.
I know it's been mentioned about the Hippodrome. I know the Hippodrome has got a small bar, and they normally have 2 or 3 drafts on. So they've got the bitters, they've got the lagers on. The wine, they only get it in a glass bottle, so it's a set measure. If somebody wants a
There's only
spritzer.
2 sorts.
No, they have rosé, they have white, they have Merlot, and they also have the other one that's very popular, Prosecco. So there's 4 different types of wine, but it's comes supplied in that bottle.
Yeah.
But if they want a spritzer, they can ask for a spritzer. It just means they get a larger glass or a half pint glass. But they do put a can bar on as well. But what they do try and say is they don't give them the can. They have to have it in a glass. Well, sorry, no glass, but the plastic.
Yes, Nina.
Sorry, just to come back to your polycarbonate question, again, for the benefit of the new members, what we would like to do is offer all venues polycarbonate glassware, because it's more environmentally friendly than the plexiglasses that end up thrown everywhere. It's not an easy sell to the venues because it costs. What we're trying to do is trial a system, probably on Newmarket Street, because obviously we have influence on there, to have to show how this system would work, and then try and roll it out in future years to other venues.
Would you do the thing about people could buy the glass and take it to other places so they can ask somebody to fill?
The idea is, and the idea is that you pay a deposit on the glass.
Yeah.
So you effectively buy the glass. When you obviously there's implications that you can't, certainly on draft beer, you can't refill a used glass. You'd have to replace the glass each time, or at least wash the glass each time. As I say, we're going to trial it, see what happens, or we're hoping to trial it, see what happens, and if it works, obviously we'll roll it out. When I say Newmarket Street, the town hall bar has agreed to be part of that trial.
Yeah.
Okay, and the other thing was, will there be tap water available for people who just want water, rather than having to buy.
It is a legal requirement that all licensed premises have to offer people tap water if they
Yeah.
ask for
So
it.
if anybody else haven't any money, but I'd like to.
You have to be, any licensed premises has to fulfil that request.
Good. Yes, Ian.
Thanks, Chair. Don't know there's going to be an issue on this type of event. It's been brought up in the past to have a safe space for people who have anxiety issues, etc. It may be getting a bit overwhelmed. And I think Patricia brought a very good point of the street pastors, which would be very, very useful so that people who are going into meltdown or can be then have somewhere where they can sit down quietly and obviously sort of deal with their own anxieties. Is that something we could look at?
Yeah. Oh, well.
What we've done previously is obviously we have got first aid on site. We've got numerous first aiders that are walking up and down the event area, and the first aiders do have a designated space where they can take people. So we already do have that facility. It is here at the town hall. We've got a nice big room with big comfy chairs, so that if people are getting overwhelmed or anything like that, they can come with the first aiders and obviously take the time to obviously calm themselves down. And then obviously once they're ready, they can go back to enjoying the festival. So it is something that we already do offer within our first aid team.
And I don't know whether the new members know, we're going to have a hop off bus from the campsite that goes round all day, isn't it?
So we do have a hop on, hop off bus. It'll go from the rugby club down to the Crown and then up to Pendle Hippodrome. So obviously people camping up there or people wanting to go up to the camping site can obviously get on and off the bus free of charge. Obviously we do have a donation bucket on there, which worked quite well last year, got quite full. And that will be running until 9 p.m. on the Friday, Saturday and Sunday. It'll be starting at 11 a.m. on the Saturday and Sunday. So I've got that in place as well.
Howard?
Just a technical point, if he's dropping people at the Crown, how's he going to get up to the Hippodrome? Was the road shut?
He'll take the same route he did last year. I think they come out at Guy Site next to the Crown, drop off, spin back round and go round up the back streets.
Yeah.
Well, not up the back streets, but back past the town centre.
Thank you. Any other questions? Anybody can? Well, they say, but I don't know. Patricia.
Yes, Chair. And one of my other volunteering roles is with the Samaritans. Further to Ian's suggestion, members of the Samaritans team will be walking around all the 3.5 days of the festival. They may be in green ibis jacket or whatever, but they will be they're always on standby to listen to anybody who's got any concerns, whether it's with alcohol poisoning, whether it's with the hot weather, and they will be able to advise alongside the first aiders as well. So they will be in presence.
Thank you. Yes, Andrew.
How many first aid points are you going to have? Out of interest.
We normally have 2. We normally have one at the Muni and one here at the town hall. But obviously, because we don't have a venue, the bottom end of town, we've just got the town hall. However, we've got more first aiders on, so that instead of just having your team of first aiders walking on their own, they'll be split up, but they'll obviously be connected by the radios, obviously with all the security team, etc. So we will have one first aid point, but several first aiders working within teams.
Yes, Dorothy.
How many is several first aiders?
I think we've got 3 teams of 2.
Right. Is that enough?
It's what is advised through the Purple Guide, which obviously basically tells us, depending on the type of event, the amount of people attending, that's the legal requirement
Okay.
from the North West Ambulance Service.
Yeah, thank you.
I was just going to say, because I know last year, I know it was mentioned about people have anxiety. I came down, I had to go home. But walking through past Shepherd's and all that, carrying on the coffee shop, the noise was that loud between just them two places. I was deaf coming through. Now, when I come down to just outside the town hall, there was no way you could get down past the Muni, down to the Crown, because it was absolutely jam-packed. That's why I was asking, what have we got in place for first aid point? Because if it's that busy, you're going to struggle to walk through, never mind if anybody got an emergency. That's why I was asking, are we having, even if a temporary one further down, even if it's just a shelter with water, with a first aider there, with a radio?
It's been like that for the last 4 years, because we've had good weather, haven't we? And a lot of people, they're mostly locals, because they don't buy the tickets to go in the venues, so they all congregate down there between Lloyd Street and the Crown, because that's where a lot of the venues are that have the the acoustic, not the acoustic, the fringe things, but a lot of them just enjoy the atmosphere, really. I don't think, I don't think you can't say we can't come, there is no more room. And I know it was difficult. I turned back because I couldn't get through that crowd, but
what I mean is if it's going to be as busy as it was then, if somebody's got an issue, i.e. needs first aid, it's going to be an absolute nightmare trying to get down there if you're only positioned up here. That's what I'm saying. That's the only thing I'm pointing out.
From past experience of the event, because we've got an emergency vehicle within the first aid team, as soon as people see the blue lights, they move out of the way like they've done for the past few years. So if, say, for example, there was an incident at the bottom end of town that was an emergency, they have got the vehicle with the blue lights on that will get them down a lot quicker than having multiple first aid points. I'll have a chat with our first aid provider and see what they think, but we do have the vehicle as well, which is a big help. Blue flashy lights and a vehicle coming towards you, they do scatter.
Patricia.
Yes, Chair, thank you. I know we've not got the Muni, and at the moment we're not too sure whether we've got the Crown, but we do have 3 or 4 more eateries down that way, and Tubbs is the biggest one, which and I don't want to be name dropping, but Tubbs is the biggest one, and I'm agreeing with Andy here. Don't we think we could approach Tubbs's and say, could you do us a favour? Could you put us a room that maybe used as a first aid point if required? That way, at least if somebody goes in wanting to say, I need first aid, they can get in touch with our security or our first aid points, and if they haven't got anyone actually on there, they can get down there ASAP and deal with it, so that the person is actually off the site as such, because the main road is the site. If they're in the building and being looked after pro tem by a member of the staff until the first aiders arrive, or the security or the police or even the Samaritans, at least they're getting looked after and not having to be dragged through the crowd, as Andy says, or waiting for the blue lights. It's only a suggestion, but I am thinking of what how Andy has been putting it.
Yes, Dorothy.
Yeah, and I think also, failing that, we could have a tent next to Tubbs on that grass, which I think belongs to us, does it? No, perhaps not. So we could have a first aid tent there for that very reason. For that use.
Well, isn't that where the people sit, where they have, when they've got the food off the tie van. Don't they all sit?
Well,
on
they
it?
won't sit there if there's a tent there, will they? I mean, if you're going to, I agree, Patricia, what you're saying, except I wouldn't like to be traipsed through a restaurant where people are, you know, looking like I'm on my way out. Don't you say anything. Um,
Well, we've had some suggestions, so we'll see what we can do. All right. The only other one thing I want to say, last year we with our Ukrainian visitors and asylum seekers, we gave them some free tickets because, especially the asylum tickets, they had no money to buy them. But there were some musicians there with that played instruments, and we did. If I'm not saying give them loads, but would you be against us being able to give those people any free tickets? Not the full tickets, I mean day tickets.
I would be against openly giving any tickets away before we know what our capacity sales are.
Oh, no.
I wouldn't like to give an open-ended, yes, we'll give tickets away full, willy-nilly. I think we need to see what spare capacity we have, and of past years we tend to have spare capacity, and make a measured and reasonable decision at that point.
Yeah. Okay. Andrew.
Yep, I agree with Nina there to look at closer to this time, but
Well, it was that week when we knew that we'd sold, I think 500 or so, but there were two big venues to fill, and if you're in a festival, you need to want to be.
Yeah, what I'm going to suggest was, if we are looking at saying possibly offering like a day ticket or an evening ticket to certain groups, I would actually look at open it slightly more than just to one particular group, because you could end up with animosity. So if you had not just Ukraine, if you go down the road, it's probably look at those who are struggling, who would have liked to have come through a wider area, if you like. Or
I don't know, you
underprivileged.
identify them, but anyway, I just thought I'd bring it up now we'll perhaps meet it, later on near the festival. Yes.
You
Time of next meeting.
Oh, I didn't realise I'd been mad.
What?
Monday, the 7th of August.
Monday, 7th of August. Do you want to? 6:30.